This is a car which is modelled upon a legendary driver's career. This is a car which is after the two-time world champion, Jim Clark. This, the final resting place of that legendary driver on a wet and miserable F2 day back in 1968. You look at this track, you look at all of the changes that have been done to it, it is still as fearsome as ever. It's not high speeds and roaring down, I'll race you to the Osh curve and back, but this is still a circuit which commands the respect, and these drivers here in your Grand Prix Legend Series are going to sit and say, for a final round of the season, I will do my best to channel the spirit of Jim Clark. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone who is watching. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside with me for the 13th and final round, which is lucky for some, is Joey Atterbury. Daniel Costello is in the director's chair, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But when you sit and look at the Hockenheim ring and say that there have been so many different changes to it, this is a track which you have to get an understanding of to appreciate the full history and spec of this circuit. We'll take a look at our GSRC track guide, and this will give you a showcase how.
Welcome to Hockenheim. Located just an hour away from the border of France, this is a German track whose nature has changed drastically over its history. Once an eye-watering blast through long straights in the forest, it has since been truncated to its current format. With 6 different layouts ranging between 2.5 and 4.5 kilometers, containing 13 to 16 turns, depending on which you choose, it's got something for just about every level of racing. This means it would fit everything from club cars up to Formula One. And that's perhaps what it's most well known for. One of the regular hosts for the German Grand Prix, it has been the scene of multiple dramatic moments, some triumphant, some tragic. Its redesign in the early 2000s gave it a few well-placed overtaking spots. The Parabolica entrance can create a good sneak attack, but even if you don't get it done there, the huge run towards the tight and slow Spitz curve is the place most well known for overtakes. If neither of those work, on rare occasions, Mercedes Corner can see drivers manage to pass one another. While the straights certainly aren't as long as the old version, it still requires a good deal of top speed to be competitive. But driver beware. Throttle control can often make or break your lap on the latter half of the circuit. All in all, German race fans can be assured to find great action no matter your tastes in racing at this fantastic venue.
There is a reason why this circuit is one which often rings so very strong when you get the chance to listen to it. But when you get racing like this, the changes that they made back in 2002 here, Joey, have given a really interesting outer layout for us to drive today, which still invokes some of that spirit that they had of days gone by.
It's exactly what we're going to be racing here today. 12 turns, 2.72 miles in that outer layout. Turn number 1, it actually kind of starts off with a doozy of a corner. It's nice and wide open on the beginning half of it, but then it certainly narrows up and it's almost like a funnel on the exit. Turn number 2 is a great passing opportunity, but I actually think the corner exit is more crucial, and it's kind of interesting how it switches back between turn 3 and 4 before you get to that long Parabolica straightaway. Turn number 6, that hairpin down there is always a great passing opportunity, but as always, don't overshoot your brake marker, especially if you've got cars in front of you. You don't want to go piling into your buddies out there on the playground. And then since we are running that outer loop, we pretty much only have that final sector, sector 3, which starts with turn number 7, that mobile 1 corner there into the stadium. And I really like that final couple corners there. There's lots of natural camber and banking built into the track, but it is very, very narrow through there. Again, once again, kind of a single file line all the way through to start-finish line.
And you look at that final arena section, which has remained unchanged since the 1960s, from Mobile 1 to the Sachs curve, through the Sud curve to end the lap. That is an area of circuit where drivers will have that juxtaposition and that reliance on mechanical grip. But in terms of where we sit today, this is the final round of a championship, and I wish we could say that 24 points is as close as it can be championship goings. But we have drop rounds in play, and Hockenheim, quite simply put, has done everything he has needed to do. He will guarantee himself 46 championship points, which means he will guarantee a championship victory by at least 9 points here today, with Andreas Valentius in second and Nicola Cocchi in third, who will be trying to upset the apple cart. Sebastian Tixier finds himself close in that fourth position ahead of Kevin Verbruggen and Togo Hesada in sixth position. You then have, of course, in seventh, Cam Porter, who's done very well to become effectively best of the rest of this season ahead of Jason Clapper. Steve Maurice, it's nice to see Hervé Trengerade on the board. He finds himself there in 10th position overall in the standings. F2, a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little bit closer between the top two drivers. It's Jan Steffen currently leading the way, only 23 points. Is Jonathan Jourdain nipping at the heels right there, and this is round number 13, the final round here, so things are going to get pretty close. Tobias Arnvey sitting there in a nice, comfy third-place position. David Muse in fourth with Tomas Duba pretty close behind him inside that top five. I think that third, fourth, and fifth could actually change around just a little bit. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to Roberto Pingrazzi back here in sixth place. Andres Bruno right on his tail as well in seventh. Mats Linden eighth. Thomas Willershausen ninth. And then Alan Graham rounds out the top 10 in this F2 driver standings.
Yeah, so it's been a very good battle there. The Cup of Nations have been, quite simply put, wrapped up by Spain, 607 points over Italy, who are 82 points back. But it is a strong battle here between those five nationalities of Italy, the United States, United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Singapore, who all want to throw their name in the hat. Don't count out Lithuania and Japan. They're still not too far away in terms of their battles, riding the highs of Valentius and Hesada. You then got Germany, who find themselves in 9th position, and Sweden a little bit of a ways away, back in 10th position. But let's talk about what makes this series each and every time we go and race here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Well, I had mentioned it. It is round 13 of 13. A bit odd to see there. Typically, it's only 12 for us, but 23 laps around the outer loop of Hockenheim. Open setups, as always, with these Lotus 49. So if you need to go in and make the car maybe turn a little bit better, if you're having too much understeer, or maybe adjust some tire pressures, you can go ahead, open that garage tab, and make sure it's driving just how you need it to. No spare car, so if you pick up any damage, you're going to have to live with it out there. Drive-through penalty at 17 incident points, disqualification at 25 incident points. And Jake, this is a track that you got plenty of runoff and plenty of usable runoff out here. You just got to make sure not to go slamming into your buddies when you have to kind of go out there.
Yes, this is a very draft-dependent style of Hockenheim that we've got here today, and so you are going to be very reliant on trying to pull into a range through the Parabolica up to the Spitzkehrer and the race back to Mobile 1. That is where we're going to be sitting. Currently a minute and a half remaining in qualifying, and it might just end about 5 seconds early because all drivers currently who have been out there on circuit, they have not been able, or all of their times have been done, and officially qualifying will be shortened, we are hearing, due to lack of activity. Here is number one, Andreas Valentius. The big shock here, Joey, in this final round. He's not got a time on the board, and he's out of laps. He will have to go from the back of the grid.
I was just adjusting my timing screen because he was on top on my board, but then once I organized it by positions, you're right. Andreas has already done all of his laps, and he does not have a time that physically is on the board, which means he picked up incident points somewhere. He ran wide or missed a brake zone, and yeah, he's got to start from the back.
Yeah, and it's a long 23 laps from the back of this field. You do have to dance through, and you look at the machinery here of this Lotus 49. We've seen it for so many years here in iRacing. And Joey, I think the big key about it is, look how unprotected it is as we see Hervé Trengerade running with the Roadrunner.
Nice, and putting that power down coming out of the final corner, and he actually improves his last lap time, but once again, it doesn't count. He did a 128.4. but his fastest is a 28.8, and I think that Ove is actually just out there getting some extra lap time at this point, just extra practice.
Yep, and he will run out of that because we're down to the final 5 seconds, and we will now take a look at where everybody stands here in terms of qualifying at the Hockenheim ring for this final round of the season. And it is Togo Hisada who will look to end his season with the biggest smile he possibly can as he puts it on pole with a 127.816. Kevin Verbruggen will go alongside him for company, with row 2 housing Nicola Cocchi and Sebastian Tixier. You got Bill Tyler there in 5th position with a good friend of ours here at the Global Sim Racing channel, Ryan Walker, who will go from 6th position as Laust Olsen starts 7th along with Leo Sequeiro. He goes from P8. It is then Hervé Trengerade who starts this one in 9th, with Juan E. Rodriguez rounding out the top 10.
We've got Alan Graham back here in 11th with John Olsen starting in 12th. Jan Steffen in 13th with Tobias Harnby 14th. Tomas Tuba back here 15th. Robert Plumley 16th. Bruno Santa Maria and Kirk Clapper share row number 9 with Cam Porter starting 19th. And David Muse rounding out the top 20. Just a couple more across the page here. Andreas Valenteus and Jason Clapper round out our 22-car field.
And because Aldris has 9,000 iRating and Jason Clapper's got about 3.5, the difference is that Valenteus breaks the tie-break and is allowed then to start in that position on top. We're talking track weather out there at the moment. It is an overcast day. It is a miserable day here at the Hockenheim ring. Just the 22 degrees track temperature in Celsius to deal with. Winds blustering in at 22 kilometers an hour from the west. It's going to be rippling across here, the German countryside, just about 5 miles away from the legendary Rhine River. But let's kick off this final round of the season because we are underway and Togo Hisada gets a good launch off of the start. A great start by Tixier from the second row, trying to steal one down the inside here at the Nord curve to get this one all nicely wrapped up with a nice neat bow. Doesn't quite get what he wants. They fall single file, as is tradition, through the opening sections into the Einfahrt Parabolica. Big send up the inside by Tixier. Gets the pass done on Nicola Cocchi.
I'm not surprised to see Seb Tixier aggressive on the brakes, especially in the first big zone, but now we go down this long straightaway. You see John Olsen back here using the draft right behind Rodriguez in the 14. Lots of cars dipping out to the inside. I believe that's Tixier once again trying to make a move up front as we get multiple 2 and even 3 wide going into turn 6.
Oh, they are getting very busy. Likes of John Olsen, Hervé Trengerade. You've got Aldris Valenteus. What a start he's had. And he might just have to thread the difference as we're going to be 3 wide. Here on the backstretch, moves to 2 wide. Trengerade wisely backs out of it. Aldris is not lifting for love nor money as Juani Rodriguez fights around the outside of Oval 1. Will there be a fight around the outside of the Sachs curve to try and get this move sorted here? Aldris throws it around the outside. He is supreme.
I have got a big smile on my face. I'm going to have to go back and watch the entire lap 1 from Valenteus' point of view because he's sitting here plus 12 at the end of lap 1. Started on the last row. Here he is inside the top 10.
A simply ridiculous start by a driver of Aldris Valenteus' caliber, and he's only lost 4 seconds to the race lead on the opening lap of this race. Hisada, your leader. Verbruggen has lost out second place, as now is Sebastian Tixier. It's Cocchi in 4th place and Bill Tyler in 5th. Olsen on the back, Ryan Walker on the back, and then it's Sequeiro, and then it's Valenteus. The top 9 are clear in this train at the front, but Hisada starting to break out to the tune of 1.3 seconds as Valenteus takes a big wide line, trying to show what he's made of here as he angles then to get into the mirrors of Leo Sequeiro. Doesn't get anything from it, and look at that, a lovely serpentine starting to form. Hisada going hard over to the right-hand side.
Valenteus loves what he sees directly out of his visor. Looks like maybe Santa Maria had a little bit of an issue down there at turn number 6. But back to what I was going to say is that with all these cars stacked up like this, these are all positions that are immediately up for grab, and it's not like Togo Hisada has completely run away.
Well, this is the start then from Aldris Valentius' perspective. He'll look for the perfect launch then as he gets going. He'll try and find his reference marker, not the massive bottle of oil, which is on top of the pits. But when he does get that go, you can see, tries to pivot over to the middle here to get as much of a launch as he can. He's so good through the second, the third, the fourth phase of acceleration possible. Look at this! That is just taking advantage. Everyone left himself the express lane there on the inside for champions-elect only.
That was pretty good, and then watch, I'm sure he's going to do the same thing here in turn number 6, takes advantage of one car, that's the number 20, and then he's essentially just going to get the nice launch down that straightaway, take advantage of that slipstream as we've got more problems on the racetrack. This looks like Tobias Harnvey has some front left damage coming out of turn number 1.
Yeah, it's a lot of front left damage, and I think that that's come together because there's been an issue between him and John Olsen out there. Olsen had himself his own moment at turn 1 on his own, and that caught Tobias Harnvey out. Olsen officially out of this race. There are no fast repairs, so there's no ways to recover it back once you get into play. But at the moment, here is Kevin Verbruggen, who is hoping to now try and move back into second position, and Tixier's been really putting the work on for this lap because he's pulled a 1.3 second gap back to roughly 1 second at this point, fluctuating in and out of that gap. So that's very lovely. And there's Ryan Walker at the moment, who's just found out that Aldris Valentius is going to make the Sachs curve his corner. He got to the inside and stole it away.
And actually, Laust Olsen is a little bit slow coming out of that final turn number 12 there, so it allows Andreas just to close it up even more. More problems here. David Muse looks like he was probably spun around in that turn 8 section. That's where all that gravel is. And as I say, Andreas is making a move on Laust Olsen down here in turn number 2. Tomas Tuba might have been one of those cars that was involved in that incident that we saw.
Yeah, there was no contact there. It was just a simple case of locking up the rear tyres and that causing the trouble. Cocky now finding himself with Kevin Verbruggen, pivoting using the long parabolica to try and get that pick that gets it sorted for one of the tightest corners in modern motorsport, Joey. I would say there's a certain hairpin in Macau that maybe is tighter and a certain hairpin in Monaco. But as we look at Tobias Harnvey, as they go through the Spitzkehrer is the toughest corner out there. Oh, that's a horrible sight when you see that.
Yeah, that one's a tough one, and it's not like the number 9 of John Olsen was doing anything wrong. He had an incident. He had lost control, and basically cars came around turn number 1 and had nowhere to go. So just called a racing incident as Cam Porter goes side by side here with Jan Steffen. That's some respect shown through that turn 7 right-hander. We've been seeing Valentius kind of use that as a passing opportunity, but not very often side-by-side battling.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of it because of the drafting nature of this layout of the circuit. So this is wonderful stuff. All the way back in 16th, Valentius sets the fastest lap of the race. He's through now on Laust Olsen. Every time you blink and you look back to the timing tower, it's another place that Aldris has made up, and he stays within this group. And at this rate, it'll be about lap 11. He'll be in that race lead. Robert Plumley trying to find himself then away through on Alan Graham. For position, Graham in the number 21 car, second lowest iRacing in the field, holds his own there through the Einfahrt Parabolica, which in German translates to as the entry to the Parabolica, as they now enter the Parabolica and go 3 wide.
Yeah, Jason Clapper's going to be the one to take both of them. He's the car right in the middle, so Plumley's on the inside, Clapper right now at apex. Looks like Alan Graham has done a terrific job to hang tough around the outside, but there goes the number 10, taking them both.
Easy as that. That's what happens when you get a good launch and you realise that drivers are battling side by side. It does compromise a little bit of the pace, and as such you can pick up an advantage on a double slipstream tow, and that is exactly what we saw there moving forward towards the Spitzkehrer. Cocky again remaining staunch with Kevin Verbruggen, not wanting to tip anything too much, but this is the who's who group right now, the top 6, I'd say that Bill Tyler maybe is the weakest of the 6 drivers that are here. But when you look at these names that you've got right now, the only exception of these drivers who you'd expect to be out there and doing fantastically is the champion, who is not here. That, of course, being Jorge Nieva. Valentias looking to the inside then at turn 2 and is going to get the move done.
Let's see if he's able to basically not compromise that exit. And I wonder if Bill Tyler's going to fight him at all. I think that the number 1 did a terrific job to put the power down there. There's a little bit of a gap. That's probably the biggest gap we've seen between Andreas and somebody in front of him. But up front, Seb Tixier has closed in what was about a 1.2, maybe 1.3 second gap.
Whoa.
Now only down to about a quarter of a second. Yeah, I think Laust Olsen went way deep down there in turn 6.
Well, there's way deep, and there's almost finding the tyres at the Spitzkehrer, which is something you don't often see. He missed his braking point. He tagged the back of a car in front of him, which was Bill Tyler, and you'll get a look at this. This is what happens when you switch off for a moment.
Oh. And yeah, I'm not sure if Bill Tyler picked up any damage from it. I know that iRacing can be a little bit forgiving with those internet connections if it's really close. And oh my goodness, you're right. Seb Tixier to the point.
Yeah, and he's done that one along the long back stretch. As we were on replay, heading to Mobile 1, he just took the slipstream away from Togo Hesada and said, yoink, that's mine. And we take a look at the most famous engine in motorsport, the Ford DFV Cosworth, and we can see that Sebastian Tixier now is going to be trying to pilot with as much power as he can to break away in this group. Tixier, Hesada, Verbruggen, Koki, and Valentias, your fantastic 5 who are there at the front.
Verbruggen was actually the one that struggled out of the turn number 2 corner here. Let's see if Nikola Koki, that lime green helmet, is going to make a lunge. He's deep on the brakes. He's thinking about it, but Verbruggen just kind of puts his car right in the middle of the road. Nothing the number 2 can do about it is this second gap right here. Ryan Walker chasing Leo Sequeiro, and Bill Tyler has kind of fallen back behind these 2.
Well, you've got to take a look at Leo Sequeiro and what he's trying to do. This is the second group. Bill Tyler might have damage to his left rear tyre, and so that's why he might be falling down the order after his contact. You've got Walker here who's trying to deal with Leo Sequeiro, and this is effectively that secondary group that could not hang with what's going on at the front, and as such, they're going to have to run their own race, knowing that the best they can hope for is 6th, barring incident.
I will say, though, as we a little bit of side-by-side contact. I think both of them are still going. That was between Tuba and Stefan, the number 19 and number 18 car out here. Looks like Tomas is going to be able to hang on to it, but not often you see side-by-side contact, and they often get away with it out here. That is not something you usually see.
Well, the reason why they got away with it, because it wasn't the car on the inside going to the out, it was the car on the outside going in, then hitting the tyre. You get that effect where the 2 tyres meet and it kicks a car up, and very lucky that didn't scramble out to anything further. Back on board with Aldrius Valentias and what he wants to do, which is to move up past Nikola Koki. If he's available, he's sat on the left rear wheel and hoping that he can dive for that inside. You have to leave the room if you're Nikola Koki, but here's the issue for Valentias. He's going to need slipstream, or he's just superior through the gears. Look at that.
I also wonder if maybe that was a little bit of Nikola saying, I'm going to be better if I follow you through right now. We know that Valentias is always one of the fastest, and he's proven that he probably is the fastest here today. He's driven through the entire field, and here he is sitting in 4th place. I wonder if maybe Nikola is going to learn more by following the number 1 car, kind of let him be the hammer and just follow him through.
And we still got 2/3 of a race just under, mind you. So this is a case of there's still so much more that can change in a race like this, in a moment like this. And Sebastian Tixier, sitting on the front, will now be the one who is dictating tempo as they go through. Uber aggressive on the curves over at the Nord curve. You see certain cars out there like the Super Formula Lights, for example, Joey, that absolutely cannot touch that curve for fear of going around with how high they are. These Lotus 49s, very big on the suspension. They can do a lot of work, and that is a very, very damaged Cam Porter.
Oh, no. Yeah, a little bit of disappointment there from Cam, but it doesn't look like any sort of frustration or anger. It looks like maybe a self-imposed incident maybe is up front here. Things are starting to close up. I see Thomas back here starting to have another argument. Is that his old buddy there in the number 18? That's Jan Steffen that they're trying to grab another position from.
Or get it back, because he's lost it over the last lap. So Jan Steffen has done well to gather that place back up. For Cam Porter, he's just done the old Timo Glock in a Toyota as he went through. Look at the contrasting lines there. Steffen is so tight through the corner, surprisingly so. Much more traditional from Tomasz Tuba, and that's why he gets the run at this phase on the straight. Can go side by side now, heading back onto the circuit on the exit of the Mercedes arena, heading over towards that section. But look how late on the brakes Jan Steffen can throw it, and that's going to give him the hold, only for the moment, as they will continue over towards the Sachs curve. Lunge on the inside, it's cambered through this section. The big slide job thrown in, and is that a stolen place? You bet it is. Santa Maria, it's Santa Maria with the move.
Yeah, Bruno said, all right, if you guys are just going to be sitting here and arguing amongst yourselves, I'm going to go ahead and grab one position, and he's looking to size up that number 19 directly in front of him now. I was going to say something while we were watching this battle. Valentijus almost got taken out because Kevin Verbruggen going through that stadium section this previous lap had a giant loose moment. Valentijus went to the outside, and Kevin thankfully was able to save the car and not take out a competitor.
It's through the transfer between Sachs and Sudkurve. Out on circuit where that happened, it was just too much power on the exit, and there goes Jason Clapper taking advantage of the Hermann Tilke runoff, which is here, part of the redesign built by him back in 2002. Look at how far he went off.
Oh, huge lockup from Bruno. He gets the car stopped without running into anybody. So now it's all about putting the power down, but Tuba did a better job about that. This one, it still continues to go on between Leo, Ryan, Bill. They're having a fantastic three-way fight here for sixth.
Well, you're going to have to wonder with Ryan Walker sometimes, Joey, in terms of the way that he drives his car, because some say that his car runs on iron brew out there, and he will be certainly hoping that he can get as much pace as he can. Valentijus, fastest lap of the race, and we'll see what the chemical concoction of Ryan Walker can manage against Leo Sequeiro. He cannot find that move at the moment. Sequeiro has been his match each and every lap.
Going down here into turn number 2, I say that the exit right here is so much more important than the entry, and you see how it kind of S-curves back before we finally get to this long straightaway section, and Ryan's just sitting in the slipstream. Let's see if he can get close enough. He pops the car out driver's right. I just don't think he's actually there in order to present it close enough to make a move. You see them all compress like an accordion on the entry there and extend back out on exit.
And then it's about drive that you get off the exit, and Valentijus is now eyeing up Togo Hisada. Togo Hisada eyeing up Sebastian Tixier, who takes a very wide line through Mobile 1, using all of the road to gain as much advantage as possible. This, an important battle. Unless we forget that this is not the only series that Algiers Valentijus is doing. He's had so many race wins this season. He has had himself 8 race wins, and he's not got the title. If he makes it 9 and doesn't get the title, it might be the most wins without a championship in series history.
See what's going to happen. It seems like these 3 have kind of broken it away from Verbruggen and Kaki behind, and this is going to be the toughest of them all, right? Every single pass, they get a little bit more difficult as you get towards the front, and when you look at Tixier and Togo Hisada, previous champions, I think that Seb is so crazy good on the brake pedal. If you're out front, you're going to have to outbrake him for the lead.
And the one other thing you've got to remember about Algiers Valentijus is he's not just racing in terms of this season over here in Lotus 49. He's also part of your Classic Series, part of the Triple Crown. He's done very well championship-wise when it's come to the work that he's been doing. And when you sit down at IMSA Vintage and realise that he is fighting for a crown there, you just got to take your hat off and applaud just how versatile and strong he is in the Classics.
I think it's cool just how large the vintage community is. It doesn't matter if it's the 49s, the 79s, or that IMSA Vintage Series like you were mentioning. I think that they're all pretty well known around each other as Jason Clapper looked to pick up another one. It's going to be a little bit difficult, though, because the car he's trying to pass is Uwe Trengrade.
Yeah, and I think we've just had Bruno Santamaria retire from the race with damage, and it's a real shame to see the number 13 car out of this one as Valentias remains in that third place. It looks like for Santamaria, he had it out to the final corner and just clipped the car into the barriers the same way we saw Cam Porter. Here comes Valentias. He'd love turn 2 as a way that he can get those moves done, and he's the only one really here, Joey, making moves where other drivers can't.
Let's see what happens as he's kind of the third car in line. He actually gets a very strong slipstream off the back of Togo. Togo goes to the middle of the racetrack, but Valenteo's even further to the inside. Who's going to take it deeper on the brakes? They both get the car stopped to apex, and now it's a drag race coming off of the corner. But remember, this is still the long straightaway. Valenteus secures P2 for now.
He's got such a great ratio through the third and fourth gears. I don't quite know how Hesada can fight back. Maybe grab a bit of slipstream, throw it to the inside. That might be the way you have to do it. Room given by Valentias, but he can put the power down a little bit earlier on that outside line. And I think Togo Hesada, he's going to keep trying to go. As wide goes Tixier there in the race lead, makes a small blunder with the gap that he's got. And that ultimately for Valentias puts him now in P2.
Seb Tixier, I have mentioned, is so good on the brakes. Here's that other battle that we were mentioning just a lap ago. Looks like Jason Clapper is going to try to get to the inside of Trengrade right there, but Uwe in that number 7 car hanging really tough, and now the track favors him. He's got the inside line. Let's see what Jason Clapper can do. This is incredible respect from these two wide through the entire final sector.
Wonderful stuff. And Jason Clapper, who also started at the back, even further from the back, now finds himself in 9th place with about 6 seconds to chase Tyler, Walker and Sequeiro in this one, and he'll be searching for it. Go to the lead. It's going to be Tixier defending. Valentias going for the outside line at the Spitzkehrer to get this move sorted. He runs out a little bit deep. Hesada now trying to take advantage. Has no drive-by comparison. And now the snake happens once again. Will there be another little look into Mobile 1? They're running in the gravel almost, trying to make sure they're defending the inside line. Valentias goes to the outside once again. Tixier throwing the command on the inside, trying to run him out of road, using the curb wonderfully as Valentias. He has the Sachs curb to his advantage. Over-unders come along. Oh, Seb Tixier, this is world class.
Well, let's see if he's able to chop the nose. Valenteus still stays to the inside. Tixier leaves him room. And now we're going to go 2 wide through the final corner. Still room given. Look at how everybody's stacking up behind. Where does Togo Hesada go? He's thinking about 3 wide. There's no way. Like you said, in turn number 1, it just gets way too narrow here.
Wow.
Tixier somehow hangs on from the outside.
That's incredible from Sebastian Tixier. Hesada now will tie and throw his salvo back down the inside. This is uncorked in the most wonderful of ways, and 3 former champions now finding themselves in a wonderful scrap of dueling wills as they get themselves sorted. Now it's going to be Hesada's turn to try and throw the attack on Valentias, who has to try and move defensive, and there goes the send back up the inside. Oh, Togo, good move.
I love seeing these outbraking maneuvers, but none of them are running in. None of them are taking it too deep into the corner. And Valentias, you're right, just has so much drive coming off of the corner. Hesada using the slipstream behind Tixier. Now they're going to have to go side by side. Togo's just way too far outside, and Valentias, I think, is going to be able to snag away that P2. I assume he's going to close the door right about here on exit. There he goes.
Yeah, and he gets that sorted. Now they are really jostling around for position here, and a very shallow line going into the first part of the Sud curve. Then from Sebastian Tixier really does perplex me here. He's really thinking defensive right now, and I wonder if Tixier's under the mind of, I've got 4 cars behind me. If I continue to bottle them up, something's going to happen and I can release the pressure and run away like a bottle rocket.
Oh my goodness, here's a potential move. I think that Andreas was certainly close enough. He had enough momentum going into turn number 2 right there, but just kind of thought maybe I'll capitalize on this corner right here coming out of turn number 4 with this huge long straightaway. Tixier is the one pushing the air. He's going to go defensive all the way driver's right. Let's see what Andreas can do. Can he pull an over-under? It's going to be coming out of the turn number 6 hairpin. It's not going to happen this time.
Little too deep through the middle of the corner, and Valentius cannot get to that absolute finite pinpoint standard that he's been able to do so many times before over the course of this race with 8 laps to go. They are scrapping almost 3 wide behind as well, 6th, 7th and 8th, as we just saw in the back of shot between Sequeiro, Walker and Tyler. But it is going to be as you were as they go. We take that little look further back as they start throwing it in towards Mobile 1, and it's going to be a case of Tyler going around the outside of Ryan Walker for position. He's going to get it.
I think it's a terrific job from Bill Tyler. As you had said, I believe he's dealing with a little bit of damage on that, call it one of the rear wheels from that contact from a competitor earlier. So if he is having a wounded car out there, to be able to hang into it and actually fight with it, great job.
There's been some fantastic work, but Valentius has just taken a monster run out of the opening corner. Tixier, middle of the road, driving here at the Hockenheim ring, is trying what he can to hold Andreas Valentius at bay at this point. Togo Hesada watches on, and so too are the onlookers of Kevin Verbruggen and Nicola Cocchi. Inside line, then through the parabolica. He's got clearance almost now. Here does Valentius on Tixier. Tixier's going to have to throw an almighty look down the inside if he wants it. Again, he pinpoints it low. Again, wide goes Valentius. But Valentius is very good through the 3rd and 4th gears. That's where he gathers it back up, and the gap opens up slightly for Kevin Verbruggen, who does get on the radio as he goes through and says, oh, I can't believe I got so tight through that section. And once more to the outside, Andreas goes, he can't turn there, sir. You can't turn there. And he nearly thought of taking the line at Tixier, so very brilliantly took away from him.
I think if this was the last lap, Togo Hesada had an opportunity, and he probably would have forced it 3 wide. And there's your inside line that you were talking about from our leaders, just really defending kind of the shortest distance around. Oh boy, Tixier with an extremely poor run. Did he get a slowdown? There goes Valenteios straight to the lead. Togo Hesada to P2.
Wow, and just like that, being uber aggressive on the defense by Tixier, and there's the one mistake that costs him, being way too aggressive on it, and Tixier immediately goes back on the offensive in a Valentino Rossi-esque style past Nicola Cocchi. That puts him back into 4th, and he'll have the bit between his teeth, because they know that if Verbruggen can't keep up the pace of Valentius, only Togo Hesada can, and this is where it gets important. Defensive again from Valentius as Hesada holds on to the outside line. Oh, and they throw it in deep, and will he try and cut him back up and under?
I think that Seb Tixier right now is probably on the radio saying, Togo, go fight Valenteius for everything that you got. I need to get back up there, and here we go. Togo on the left side. Can he carry the momentum around the turn 7 corner here? Respect shown. Look at how wide Togo is. He wants the exit. He's going to have the driving line going into the turn 8 corner here. But Valenteius hangs tough. Use that natural camber built into the racetrack. He's still in the lead.
It's a no pogo zone for Togo. He cannot jump up to that race lead. And for Andreas Valenteius, he is just perfect on the defense, and look at the way that Valenteius is having to really fight against his Lotus 49 right now. Togo Hesada is trying to throw into every single corner, everything he can. They're all out over the AstroTurf trying to take their advantages, and they will have to just slightly keep in mind what they're doing from an incident point standpoint as well, because they will be pushing to a level of an absolute extreme with just 5 laps to go.
We saw that already out of Seb Tixier getting that slowdown, but here comes that drafting battle. Valenteius once again full defensive to the right side of the racetrack, then kind of moves back to the middle. Togo is actually in way too deep. There goes Verbruggen to second place. I do think that Togo might be able to carry momentum, but this is the opportunity that Andreas was looking for.
Oh, it was. That's the moment. That could be the race. You just go 5 meters too far on the brakes, and suddenly now it's Kevin Verbruggen's responsibility to chase down the Lithuanian Andreas Valentijas, who is a legend among legends when it comes to classics. And oh, look at this. Verbruggen is a rolling roadblock at the moment for Togo Hesada. He can't find a way through, and look at that gap skyrocket, nearly 3/4 of a second.
Just didn't carry the speed through that turn 8 corner, and you're right, now about 3/4 of a second and growing to our leader. Verbruggen just, I wouldn't call him a roadblock per se, but it certainly choked them all up behind and let Valentijas run away, and now Togo Hesada is the one that actually bobbles in turn 1.
Yes, because you got Sebastian Tixier who's trying to climb up as far as he can. Remember, there are still important points available for second in the championship. He's up against Valentijas and Nicola Cocchi, so he's got to get those points, and he's got to get them quickly. Otherwise, he won't get a top 3 finish in the title standings if he gets himself to the end. This is important for Tixier, who now sees that Kevin Verbruggen here now leaves that door. Valentijas, very defensive today. So, oh, Tixier's gone straight on.
It was ultra close, but thankfully Seb was able to avoid the competitors, and I thought that maybe Verbruggen was going to hand over P2 to Togo Hesada right there. He kind of left the door open, but then was able to put the hammer down coming out on corner exit here. So it's still Valentijas, Verbruggen, Hesada, but I think we're going to be dealing with potentially lap traffic in the last few laps.
Yeah, you got Cam Porter and David Muse, who I believe are drivers who are a lap down that they're going to have to now start dealing with out there. Jan Stefan as well, you could put in the mix. And Muse, who's in the middle of the road, trying to stay out of the way as much as he can. Nowhere to go through the final corner. Oh, this is painful for Andreas Valentijas. All that gap that he just built to almost a second has just been wiped.
Frustrating for him, fantastic for us, because it closes in that gap. I think what thought of Togo Hesada, maybe the race lead gone away, is all kind of reeled it back in, but he's got to make a move in turn number 6 this time.
And lest we forget as well, that second group, it was a group of 3. 6 seconds are being brought back. It's a group of 5. How often do you hear Togo on the radio? Togo's on the radio going, please let me by, let me by. I want at him. And he won't get him.
See, he needs to, oh my goodness.
No.
Oh, there goes Seb Tixier way too deep again, and unfortunately impacts Kevin Verbruggen down at turn number 6. He was in just the same type of deep that last time, but this time it was on the inside of the racetrack.
Sebastian Tixier's one flaw is that he sometimes outbrakes himself because he's pushing the limits too much, and he does so again here at the Hockenheim ring, and a big shunt for Sebastian Tixier's number 6 gives him a black flag penalty.
That is so frustrating. I see in the chat he says, sorry, I locked everything, and just, as Phil Collins says, in too deep.
Wow. Just wow. And look at what it's done for the race lead. It's opened it up now to 1.3, 1.4 seconds with 2 laps to go. Andreas Valentijas clear. Replay on the screen. Tixier was desperate to try and close it up. And watch this. He drops down. It's all 4 wheels that decide that they don't want to stop. And ultimately, that's what we call brake fade.
It is, and I think that if nobody was in front of Tixier and he was just making the single pass, I think it would have been totally okay, but I highlighted it at the very beginning in the track map. If you go too deep in turn number 6 and you got people in front of you, it can be a bad situation.
It certainly can. Jason Clapper hoping that he can now move to 7th from dead last on the grid, as he's got Leo Sequeiro just in front of him, Bill Tyler and Ryan Walker leading this group now in a top 5 battle, and placement here with 2 laps to go just became paramount.
This is awesome, right? I mean, what is this, 5 cars all for 5th place right here with Ryan Walker hanging on to it? one of our biggest movers, Jason Clapper, up there. I know that Valenteus is technically our biggest mover, but I think everybody saw that coming, so it is Walker, Tyler, Sequeiro. Those are the front three in this train.
Well, Ryan Walker here has got to have everybody behind him. A top 5 would be huge for him, and especially when you consider at the start of the race he asked, is 38.6 litres worth of fuel for this race enough for me to make the finish? As we start the final lap then of this race, it is 1.2 seconds between Valenteus and Hesada. Will Hesada be looking behind, more rather, towards the likes of Nicola Cocchi? He pull a 1/10 of a second then through the Einfahrt Parabolica as Valenteus goes very wide into the corner, but I don't think it's going to be nearly enough to close down what has been a simply stellar drive. It was setting up to be one of a brilliant amount of finishes. Oh, they've both gone deep. They've both gone deep. Hesada's gone throwing the car in deep, and suddenly he loses out. He was caught watching the brake zone. Nicola Cocchi will snipe second place away, and suddenly that becomes a big change-up as they went through. Aldrius Valenteus, how often do you find him at the front of this field? You could argue if there weren't drop rounds in this championship, he would certainly be one that if he could turn up every week, he'd win this championship every single time. Number 1 has been in P1 9 times this season, 1 non-finish, 3 non-starts. Aldrius Valenteus, the flex of you to go from 21st on the grid and to go and win in a field of this type of caliber. You are elite, my friend. What a victory for Aldrius Valenteus.
Nicola Cocchi, big points day for that number 2, finishes on the podium with Togo Hesada rounding it out. This is that battle right here. Looks like Walker will lead him to the line. Bill Tyler finishing 6th, Leo Sequeiro in 7th, and Uwe Trengrade, Jason Clapper round out the bunch. I actually think it was Jason that was losing a spot there to Trengrade at the line.
Yep, so Uwe Trengrade, I think, just stole it when he got to the end, just getting it through the Sud curve. Some wonderful battling back there as the rest of the drivers will go through. He'll go all the way back to Jan Stefan, who is in 16th position, and there is the damaged Cam Porter, who will be able to find a finish. I'm surprised that they haven't pulled him in, but obviously losing the front clip there of the car is not enough to say that's enough damage there, Joey.
It's just lightened the thing a little bit on the front, Jake. As long as it's not smoking and the driver's okay, it's all right. He'll pull it in when he's done.
Yep, he'll have the coldest feet in Hockenheim. That much we can say as he crosses the line and gets himself over and sorted. Let's take ourselves then through the official results from the Hockenheim Baden-Württemberg, or the Hockenheimring Baden-Württemberg in the outer layout here today. If you start from 21st position on the grid, you don't often get to win races, but to make up 20 places in 23 laps and fend off a slew of fantastic classics drivers, Aldrius Valenteus is a one of one, and simply put, he might be one of the best sim racers in the world. His victory margin is that of 9/10 of a second over Nicola Cocchi, who took that on the final lap with Togo Hesada's mistake. Kevin Verbruggen will feel robbed of an opportunity to fight for the podium. He got caught up with what happened, of course, with one Mr. Sebastian Tixier, and as such, he only finishes 4th, with Ryan Walker holding the charge off of those in the 5th place battle. Bill Tyler, who had the right rear damage, Leo Sequeiro, Uwe Trengrade, and Jason Clapper. A top 10 and a deserved top 10 for Juan E. Rodriguez.
Across the page in 11th is Robert Plumley. Alan Graham finishing in 12th. Kirk Clapper up 5 positions to finish in 13th back here. Thomas Tuba in 14th with Cam Porter. We saw him have those incidents on the front straightaway, I believe, lose that front clip, but still ends up gaining 4 positions to finish in 15th. Jan Steffen back here in 16th. David Muse 17th. Seb Tixier is the second car, a couple laps down back here. Laust Olsen and the rest had problems, including Tobias Harnvey, Bruno Santamaria, and John Olsen.
You look at the field, 22 drivers, only the 16 on the lead lap, 17 finishers overall. It took about a quarter of the field out in terms of what we were looking for. We are going to take this opportunity to talk to a couple of our drivers here, and I think first and foremost it would be important to talk to one good friend of ours here at the Global Sim Racing Channel, and that is Mr. Ryan Walker. Ryan, first and foremost, hello. Secondly, was it Iron Brew that you put in your car? You were rapid today.
I'm not sure, to be honest. That was an awesome race, and no, it was just a case of I put in some practice during the week, and it seemed to pay off.
Well, it certainly did. Talk us through then the start to the middle of your race, because it looked like for what you were trying to do, Ryan, you had yourself Leo Sequeira that you were pretty much stuck with for the majority of it. Bill Tyler gets caught up in an instant in front, so he's added to the mix. And then you got Hervé and Jason who start chasing you up. So suddenly it becomes a 5-car battle by the end of the race.
Yeah, I think it was me, Leo, and Bill battling with about, any time I checked, it was about a 5-second gap or five something gap behind me. So I was just kind of saying to myself, not do anything silly. And then obviously, as you say, Leo and Bill had a bit of a tangle in the hairpin halfway through the race, and it kind of held us up a little bit. So it allowed some of the pack behind us to catch up. And then basically, as soon as I saw that they were closing up and I was managing to get a good run on Bill heading down to the hairpin, I said if I get a run on him and I get alongside, I'll try and make a move and pull away. And and then managed to build a little bit of a gap while they were squabbling away, and managed to hold on to 5th.
So my final question for you here, Ryan. What are your plans for 2025 from a racing standpoint, not just with you, but I believe satellite racing as well?
I'm not sure. I'm not with Satellite anymore. They were a different team, but the racing plans, I'm pretty much undecided. Obviously, I'll jump into the odd Lotus 49 race from time to time, and just basically might even take have a dabble with the 79 if time allows. So yeah, just basically just try random things, and most of all just enjoy myself.
Stage hunting, what we absolutely love to hear. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us then. A 5th place finish is one deserved from a starting place of 6th position. We will now get the opportunity to talk to some more of our drivers. Taking a 2nd place finish at the end of it all was Nicola Cocchi, who stood by with Joey Atterbury.
Nicola, congratulations on the 2nd place finish at Hockenheim.
Yeah, thanks. That was very not expected at all.
It was pretty wild at the front, and you're right, it kind of dropped into your lap there at the end, but you were in the lead group the whole time, and you took advantage of what was on the table for you.
Yeah, maybe this was like one of the hardest race of my life, just because I forbidden to myself to defend or attack for any reason at all. So I need to keep my ego down. I knew that I was going to be able to stay in the lead with at least right behind the leader. But I had very negative streak last race that I did. So I always end up crashing, and the more I was trying to avoid it, the more it was happening. So I just wanted to put an end of it, at least for one race, at least for the final race of the season, and try to delete this curse that is happened to me. And so I was just driving 7/10, something like that, just stay behind the last car of the group. And it was just waiting, and it was very lucky thing that the guys in front had those kind of problems. But I consider all these guys as my friends, and I'm really afraid that if I'm not ending this streak, this course, they will not consider me like fair.
You're no
driver
longer
or-
welcome on the playground, huh?
Yeah. That's my fear, to be honest. And I really, I'm really sad about it. And then I want to make up for it. And I just want to stay away from the heat for a while.
I think you did a terrific job out here. I understand what you're saying about with the incidents, but you always got to look forward. You can't ever go back and change it. I'm going to turn it into a little bit of a lighthearted joke. I'm picturing maybe you got kind of the devil version of Nicola sitting on one shoulder and then the good angel version of Nicola sitting on the other shoulder, and it's kind of talking to you throughout the race. But I'm going to say hypothetical. Let's just say if you could attack and you felt like being aggressive out there, did you think you had something for the lead today?
I'm sure that I was going to be fighting for at least second place. Considering this how much as this toe is heavy on this track lap time, I think I might have had a chance to win the race, but you never know against Audrius. you think you have a chance, but he always surprises you. He always he's so many steps ahead of me every single time. So a part of me likes to think that I could have a chance, but 50-50, as I would say, not very sure.
Well, you always got to have the ego to want to go up there and try to grab it. But fantastic season from you. Fantastic way to end it. Congrats on that podium.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I don't think it was, from my perspective, a very good season, but I can promise that I try to be better for the next. That's for sure.
Well, there was Nicola Cocky driving that number 2 car, saying he wants to keep it clean from here on out.
I tell you what, it does give you a lot of smiles to say, you know what, you are trying to push to that level, you are trying to better yourself, and if you don't think that third's good enough, then you want second, you want first. That's absolutely fantastic. I do believe we have caught up with a driver who's finished off in 3rd place overall, that being Togo Hisara. Now, Togo, Subete ga subarashi resu ni mukete junbi sa rete itaga, Audrius no pesu to nokori nishu de no seb no akushi dento ni yori, akiraka ni gyapu ga hiraki sugita?
その通りです。Yeah, that's right. That's exactly that thing. Just he said, prepare a lot today. Using the same setup, audio setup, or everybody set under the mix under the make my setup under the. Yeah, prepare is very good, and the qualify is very good also. But just audio is just next level. Just more one step. Yeah, one step. I need more step to catch up him. And today, this is a very long straight under the pack racing, so we have a chance to battle with him. But we have a very great battle. And that happens very easy to lock up tires. So I'm mistaken there twice, and the Sebastian mistake only once, but this one is very big, the causing the incident. So I feel very sorry to him, but this is very very fun, and I'm enjoy every single lap. So I'm happy now.
Well, I'm glad you're happy in terms of what you're able to do over the course of this race. For those, of course, who weren't inclined to understand my question, it was Togo. Everything was lined up for an incredible race, but through Audrius's pace and Seb's incident with 2 laps left, it left the gap too far out, surely. But for you, Togo, a race and a season which maybe has been a little bit tougher for you than it has been in previous seasons. I know you've still got you've got to go back to school, and this is the sort of season where you are back in school, and it's a little bit more tougher for you to go and get the practice time in and to race around this time. So for you, how important is it to pick and choose the moments when you're maybe a little bit less prepared this season than you have been in prior?
Yeah, just driving in the long run and managing how to how to manage the tire temperature. Just always my most important thing in preparing. So just practicing long runs, and the qualifying pace is just this season not really focused on that. So sometimes I'm started very back in the field, but I think the next season I have a winter vacation and the spring vacation a little bit. So I will have more practice time than this season. So I'm really looking forward to race again in next season.
Well, we hope the next season is going to be fantastic for you, Togo. But in terms of how you look to step up between this season and next season, 9 wins for Aldrius over that last season, or this season that we've just had. How do you bridge that gap, seeing as he started from 21st today and took the win?
Yeah, just we are I'm actually checking the Aldrius logo data in the Garage 61 third-party data logging site. So I'm using a lot in next season, and I'm studying and learning how to drive with the Aldrius ways, and just preparing pace and the braking point or something like that. And I think I need to change my driving style to catch up Aldrius. So they're just very challenging season.
Well, we are going to wish you the best of luck with that, and it seems like he'll be hitting the books and he'll be hitting the telemetry charts. Togo Hesada there joining us with a 3rd place finish overall here today, and certainly hoping for more in the next season. We are going to get a chance to talk to one final driver. Joey Atterbury has ran down pit lane to find our good friend here at the Global Sim Racing channel, Cam Porter.
Yeah, Cam, it's a 15th place finish. I know you probably wanted more, but another season wrapped up here in the 49s.
Yeah, that was my best season ever, so I'm not even mad about my performance today. I attribute it to, ironically, not trying too hard. Today I tried too hard, but at the same time, I was feeling good about the season. This is an extra week. I was like, well, I might as well just go for it, because I got nothing to lose, really. And so yeah, I was catching... I feel like I was at least hanging with Alan Graham and Robert Plumey, so I felt like I could have challenged, and that's why I was kind of pushing to try to keep up, but obviously it bit me. But like I said, I'm not even mad. It's a great season, and really enjoyed the racing this season.
I think if this is updated correctly, it shows 7th in the F1 points there, so pretty impressive. You said it's your best. It's got to feel good.
Yeah, it's just been consistency, and this is my first season that I actually made every race. Normally I miss a few races due to travel and things like that, but other things have been going on lately that have impacted my my travel time. So I have new responsibilities now.
Well, and
pesky responsibilities.
I was gonna say, to kind of put that 7th place into perspective, the driver in front of you in 6th was Togo Hesada.
Yeah, I'm in esteemed company there. So shout out to the community and all the guys that come out and race regularly every week. It's a great place to be. So if you've never tried Lotus 49, come out and give it a go. It's a challenging car for sure, but the community is awesome and the racing is awesome.
I think what you just said was highlighted in the last round here. Definitely go back and watch it. There was tons of great racing. But Cam, thank you so much for coming and racing week in and week out. You are a big part of that community, and so just wanted to say thank you for being part of that.
Thanks to you too, guys, for putting on the great broadcast every week. Looking forward to next season.
That was Cam Porter driving the number 16 car today, Jake.
Yes, and this is what you absolutely love about a series like this. It's the drivers who find their ways to develop and move up through the field over the seasons. A driver like Cam Porter is what every sim racer should aspire to, someone who learns the craft and gets better and better and better as each and every season ticks on by. Unfortunately, we are going to have to close curtains on what has been a fantastic season, but It is the season-ending weekend for you here at the Global Sim Racing Channel. Want to give a massive thanks to everyone who has got it done today, from Joey, from Daniel, and from Dougie as well. You can catch all of the equipment, software, and hardware that has been used to bring this show over to you, including June Lalonde's music, which you absolutely can catch on Bandcamp. I know I say it every single time, but you can catch that music on Bandcamp, and it would really go a long way. On top of that, you got to remember, it is the finals day, so to speak, or the finals weekend. So IMSA Vintage and Lotus 79s, which will be tomorrow, are going to be really important to keep in mind. Mark down all of what's coming up in December on your calendar, because you do not want to miss a single thing. You can go over, of course, to our wonderful, wonderful social media pages, our website, and our merch store for an extra 2/10 worth of pace. But what a showcase of driving we have had. If you ever wanted proof of a driver's talent, sometimes you just need to flex on how good you are. If Aldrius Valentias can go in a field of that strength and caliber from 21st position on the grid to go and win that race by nearly a second, quite simply put, I don't know how anybody stops him. 9 race victories. Yes, Jorge Nieva is your champion. Very well deserved, not here today. But the story of this final round is Aldrius. He is simply put a legend in the making. And my word, how does anybody stop a driver of his caliber next season?